Yes, hello you lovelies. Let's talk about Agatha All Along. This is going to be talking about the first 2 episodes only, and I'm going to be diving into some of the mysteries I think are going to unravel, some Easter eggs, some of the details, and reviewing it as per my opinion of the show. If you're new to this page, I do movie reviews, movie news, as well as comic book news and comic book reviews, and I'm trying to hit 36K this month. Last week was my 36th birthday. I'm trying to hit 36K accordingly, so hit that subscription bell. Also, let me know in the comments below what you think of Agatha All Along. Leave a like. While you're here, hit the buttons. Let's talk about Agatha All Along. This show is very specifically for a demographic that enjoys things that are campy, that enjoys things that have a sense of horror comedy, a very specific type of humor that I think is some of the hardest to land. And I want to say that right up front, the first episode was absolutely not for me, but that is kind of the point of the greater MCU. I think it's gotten lost a bit in the macro when we've now looked at the micro of things working or not working. When you make a 40 installment property, it's meant to be a little something for everyone. We used to praise the fact that Ant-Man's a heist film, Guardians is a space opera, Iron Man is, and I liked that era, but a lot of that was still in one type of genre. And as soon as the Phase 4, Phase 5 rollout started to expand into completely different genres, a lot of the people that liked just the stuff that was driven towards them, they thought that the MCU was failing, and I think that some of it doesn't work. I personally think Episode 1 doesn't work for me, but a lot of people that I know that like this campy, musical-inspired tone really dig it. So I want to try to be fair to my experience and my opinion, because you're watching my review, while also acknowledging I don't think this show is bad. I don't think it is good for me. And those are different things. Art is definitely subjective, and I think objectively, I don't think anything in the MCU has been bad. There's been like 4 or 5 properties I think are objectively bad. I don't think this is one of them. But I don't think, especially Episode 1, was for me. The humor didn't land for me. The writing, I thought, was contrived in a way that was trying to be trite, but didn't quite land. Like, the lines of dialogue in the True Detective setting were very intentionally like, I'm a cop, blah, blah, blah. And like, I get the joke, but the joke didn't land. And getting the joke and the joke landing are very different things. And I don't think it was necessarily Jac Schaeffer's fault or Kathryn Hahn's fault. Somehow I think there was just a disconnect in tone, because I love both of those creators. I think Kathryn Hahn is a genius. I think she was doing a take on something that didn't land with the writing and directing that Jac Schaeffer was delivering. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work for me. And again, a lot of people that wanted this show to be this campy, musical, spooky vibe absolutely got that out of the first episode. It was interesting reading reviews that after I watched it basically said, they liked the first episode, didn't like the second, because for me, the second episode found more of a linear tone that felt like I could find something in it for me, and the first episode I just couldn't find my way in. I didn't like the reveal. I didn't really enjoy the mystery unraveling of, her being trapped in the hex. I liked the concepts. I liked the concept of a true detective, true crime obsessed woman trapped in the suburbs. I liked the concepts of the way she'd perceive Wanda's death and, the dark hold, and the concepts of unraveling and clawing herself out. I liked all of those things, but concept versus delivery didn't work for me. And so this first episode definitely had me a little worried about my longevity with the rest of the show. It's a Marvel show. I'm going to be covering it. I really enjoy that Marvel can take these swings, but I can also acknowledge that not every swing is going to hit for me. So I was really worried. I do want to talk about both Kathryn Hahn and Aubrey Plaza specifically, though, because in the first episode, I liked that Kathryn Hahn felt like a witch and not just like she was comedically trying to get witchiness across. And that worked more in her performance for me than the dialogue. I felt like there was something under the surface that she was trying to get out. I felt like she was like her body knew something, her mind didn't. I was really impressed with that. And I think that will be something that will pay off with some of the reveals later on. So I did like that dichotomy between what was being presented physically and mentally. That was cool. And Aubrey Plaza, I'm really enjoying this mystery of basically not saying the teen's name and not really alluding to who Aubrey Plaza is. We know that Agatha hates her. We know that they have history, many hundreds of years, it seems like a history. So I think she's one of 3 people. I think she's either going to be big reveal to be Cynthia Von Doom, a lot of green, in her imagery. She's the Green Witch, obviously, but also just the green cowl, and some of those setups make me think Cynthia Von Doom, which would line up with the timing depending on how things go. Obviously, Dr. Doom's mom is a witch, and that ties in the techno, like organic elements of witchcraft and technology blending together. So I would love if that was the reveal of maybe her mom. I could also see her being Morgan Le Fay. I think Morgan Le Fay would be a very interesting choice. Morgan Le Fay is one of the big bads in the greater Marvel universe, especially in dealing with magic. She is almost as powerful as Doom. Morgan Le Fay is a force of nature. That would be interesting. And it seems like Aubrey Plaza is going to be sticking around after this property. So those two could tie in there. A really interesting one that I got a cue from the second episode would be, she didn't have a name, keeping with that mystery, but it was a Black Heart. Blackheart is literally a character in the Marvel Cinematic, or the Marvel comic universe. Blackheart is the son of Mephisto. He's the devil's son. Maybe we do meet the devil in this show. Maybe we do finally get Mephisto, and maybe Aubrey Plaza is the daughter of Mephisto, and that's why the Black Heart, and the character is literally named Blackheart. So that would be interesting to me if it's Cynthia Von Doom, Morgan Le Fay, or Blackheart. Could be none of these. We'll find out. But Aubrey Plaza is absolutely the highlight of both episodes for me. She shines so weirdly bright. She's such an odd energy, and I love it. She's a highlight in Legion. She's obviously a highlight in everything she does, from Parks and Rec to now. She's a force of nature. She always fascinates me. And even when the tonality wasn't landing in episode 1, the show she was in was really working for me. So even in episode 1, that was an anchor point for me to be like, yes, but the Aubrey Plaza stuff really lands. So going into episode 2, we get that Blackheart tease. We also get a lot more of the teen, who I think is just Wiccan. I think a lot of people are reading too much into this. I think he's going to be Wiccan. The City Fingers, him not being able to say his name, I don't think means he's Mephisto, but I've read that. I think it means he's going to be revealed as the son of the Scarlet Witch. I'm curious how that ties into everything with her being dead and with the cursed text and all those things. But the mystery elements of him are captivating, and he has grown on me from the first to the second episode. I am more interested in his journey and like why he's doing all this and like what happened. Like, there's enough there. But my problem with the second episode wasn't the tone issue of the first film, the first episode. It was, we just met all these women and gathering them, which is entertaining, which is like an assemblage of things. But I feel like we didn't really have enough time with them for me to care yet. Like, we had like 2 or 3 minutes with each of them. I'm hoping as we go along, obviously that's the point of a show versus a movie, is things will grow. But I'm not invested in any of the rest of the Coven yet, except for Deborah Rowe Rupp from That 70s Show, who I just love that 70s show, so she seems great. But like, an investment there. Didn't really love the neighbor stuff. Didn't really connect with, like, I love Emma Caulfield. Like, she's a friend and I think she's great in the show. I wanted to be more invested in what was going on outside of Westview, and it didn't really feel like they let me. And there was a little funny cheekiness, like, oh, you're the cop, you're the... I want to care like I did with WandaVision. And I think that's my big problem, is this is a sequel to WandaVision, and WandaVision nailed all these tones. WandaVision nailed the dichotomy between campy, cheesy 60s and mystery, and I've seen that this is possible. So I think the line between campy and corny, or for Gen Z, campy and cringe, is the finest line. But I love when it's on the right side of it. So far, this one isn't. I love Rocky Horror. I was in Rocky Horror. I did 4 years of Rocky Horror in Los Angeles, but that's the only thing in that specific sphere that I love as much as that specific tone. So everything else that's Rocky Horror-esque isn't for me. So maybe this is one of those things that's just adjacent and isn't for me. One of my favorite horror movies of all time is Cabin in the Woods. That's campy horror. But there's not a ton in that space that I love as much as it. So maybe this is just on the other side of the tone line, but when it lands, it really lands, and I really wanted this one. This show feels very much for me on paper. I like the concepts. I'm not much of a musical guy, but I'm very much a spooky season guy. I'm very much a fan of Catherine Hahn. I'm very much a fan of Aubrey Plaza. I really like mystery and witchcraft. I love True Detective. I really wish that had worked for me. And maybe my love for True Detective is what kept me from it. But we're living in an age right now, literally this time period, the next 8 weeks, we have 2 superhero shows that are world-expanding versions of a thing that are a sequel that are also about the antagonist that is making them the protagonist for the show. It's very specific. An antagonist turned protagonist for the purpose of that show, a world expansion that is a sequel. In my experience, it is working way better for me with Penguin. I'm not saying The Penguin is a better show or a worse show. What I'm saying is it is more made for me, and I wouldn't have necessarily expected that as cut and dry. Again, I don't want to pit these shows against each other. I think Marvel and DC are just celebrating comics as we should. None of this versus stuff. It's not a gang war. And I don't like pitting shows against each other. But what I'm trying to get across is I think, made for me, my sensibility, my experience. I'm getting much more out of the slow burn, methodical drama with lots of conversations and lots of nuanced ways to manipulate someone and leverage someone, play chess. Whereas Agatha All Along feels like a fun, cheeky game of checkers that is more cheeky than it needs to be, or not cheeky enough, and I can't figure out which. So it's not quite for me yet. I'm going to keep watching. This is another long diatribe, stream of consciousness review, like the Penguin, so hopefully it worked for you. Did not have time to edit it because I'm trying to get it up ASAP so you guys can hear my opinions. A lot of people have asked, so hopefully this was for you. I hope the show was for you, and I really hope the show becomes for me. It's not there yet. I am curious about the mysteries. I am curious about the witchcraft. I am excited to like these characters more and get to know them more, hoping that occurs, and I'm hoping the tone lands for me more as we go along. But let me know if you guys want to see more of this. Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to be back for episode 3. Hopefully these videos do well enough to do the whole series, but please leave a comment about what you thought of episode 1 and 2. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell if you want to see when I upload episode 3's opinion, and I'll probably starting with episode 2, because I did a Penguin first thoughts, just my general first thoughts. I'll probably do episode by episode, starting with episode 2 in 9 days. So you'll get weekly Agatha, weekly Penguin, weekly This Week in Comics, and weekly movie stuff. Lots of stuff going to be coming at you on this page. So hit that subscription bell. Let's hit 36K, you lovelies. All right, I'll see you soon. I hope you like this show. And yeah, looking forward to it unraveling for me and finding a tone that I dig. All right, we'll see you then. Bye, guys.